Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavaditam Astu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Akandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Dashitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, revered Swami Purnanandaji and all monastic brothers and devotees in Sri Ramakrishna. I'm very happy to be here because a wish has also been fulfilled by me, for me, and that is that I was last here approximately 50 years ago in this center. And so here I am visiting it again. And you heard that I'm a cycling Swami. So we'll talk about that a bit later when we come to God's grace. Only through His grace do these legs move. And I thank you for producing Irish weather for us and the devotees I brought with me. I will be repeating a little bit of what was said. See, Kalpataru, wish fulfilling, we have to vividly imagine the scene, 1st January 1886. Sri Thakur, having revived a little bit, he walks into the garden in a southerly direction, about 30 devotees walking behind. Then he meets Girish Chandra Ghosh and 2 others. And Thakur asks this critical question: you've been saying all kinds of things about me, that I'm avatar and all this. So what is your understanding about me? Why do you say all this? And Girish replies, oh, you see, the one that could never be described by Vyasa, by Valmiki, that is who you are. And that stimulates a great reaction from the master. A reaction that puts aside all the physical. Because we can easily think of the suffering that he had, a little thinner now. And everybody doesn't want to touch him because they know why he is suffering. Sometimes some great swamis and gurus who are suffering, devotees say, why does this person suffering? Such a great man, why is he suffering? But the answer is, of course, frankly, it's caused by you. You're the one that's making it. Me? Yes. Do you do japa every day as your guru instructs you? Not every day. He has to do it for you, and he's suffering, he's taking the effects on you. And so all these great teachers have done it. All these great teachers we can see in Christianity, Jesus Christ on the cross, Ramakrishna with the throat difficulty and cancer, reviving a little bit because a change in medication. And so the physical sensitivity is very prominent. And all of a sudden, Sri Ramakrishna goes into bhava samadhi. And in that state of bhava samadhi, which acts like a magnetic field for everybody to gather around. So what we find is all the devotees being affected. And forgetting his physicality, they want to touch him. And he's so sensitive, and in many cases so prohibitive about people touching. He not only allows them to touch him, he voluntarily goes and touches them. And all these different reactions occur. One, he puts his foot on the chest of one devotee. He touches another one. Like that, through touch. Forgetting his own physicality and his own physical problems, forgetting the sensitivity of his own body. There he allows all of this, and it spreads like a supreme ocean of bliss everywhere. What a wonderful thing would have happened that day. Everybody affected. Some people say some were weeping, but we find the three characteristics of human personalities coming out. Some people want to worship him and repeat mantras. The emotional side of people. And other people, they want to call others, come, come, see. Calling even to the sannyasis, come, come, or those who were to be sannyasis. Those with a disposition like that. And the Lord dispensing grace. And others calling friends and family, worshipping. Others stand, stunned, amazed. So all these three personality types we find there in reaction to this great event. And the Master indiscriminately giving and spreading his grace everywhere. Is it really Kalpataru? Is it really a wish-fulfilling tree? It was described like this. One person, Vishwanath, he goes and has a cosmic vision, if you like, of Ramakrishna's smiling face, and he can't cope. We can see how easily this occurred with Sri Krishna and Arjuna. The 11th chapter gives a great cosmic vision, and eventually Arjuna says, please, please, forgive me if I absent-mindedly called you, just a friend or an acquaintance, or joked with you, or laughed with you, or ignored you, or any of these things. And there we find also, you see, this great revelation. This cosmic Ramakrishna is there, and he's revealing himself, not to the sannyasins, he's revealing himself to the householders. Because if it was really Kalpataru, then he would be bestowing good and bad. And you know that story that Sri Ramakrishna himself told of the man, the tired traveler, finding a Kalpataru, a wish-fulfilling tree, and sitting under there and feeling tired. Feeling tired, he thought, I'm hungry also. It would be very nice if there was a whole feast here of all the things, all my favorite foods. And so immediately, of course, a whole feast presents itself and he eats to his heart's content. He doesn't even question how this came about. And then after a little food, he feels sleepy. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a nice cot and I was sleeping there, resting nicely? Immediately, it presents itself. And wouldn't it be wonderful if somebody was massaging my feet? Wouldn't it be pleasant to do that under the shade of this tree? Immediately that happens. Then it occurs to him, all this happened because I wished it. And he didn't realize it's a wish-fulfilling tree. And then the next thing, all this happened by itself. What would happen if a tiger comes and spoils it all? And exactly that's what happens, and he finds himself up the tree. So you see, we have to be careful what we wish for, and we are wishing every second. Every second is a blank check. We've never used it before. There's a second, I don't know where it's gone. It's gone forever. And so fortunately, we have this opportunity of a sequence of seconds, second by second, a blank check. We can fill whatever we like in. And if we are careless, then we'll fill all these bad things in for ourselves. Doubts, fears, temptations can all be filled in our blank checks. We should try to fill something different. We should try to fill qualities: strong, true, wise, full, free, truth, beauty, goodness, love, harmony, like that. So many seconds. Consciously we should do it. And this effort is called sadhana, spiritual practice. A question of taking our antahakarana, our internal instrument, and focusing it in a conscious, directed way. Doing it second by second, in a joyful, sporting way, we can do it. So what happens when we do it in this way? Grace flows to us. Sri Ramakrishna was famous for saying that the wind of God's grace is forever blowing, you have but to set your sail. But is it easy to set your sail? It takes quite a bit of effort to take the mast, erect it, put all the ropes in place. Only when you've done this, the wind will catch it. No amount of blowing will make this boat go. By itself it goes. Back to cycling. Cycling 620 kilometers in 4 days. You might think it's a difficult task. No. You take a philosophical attitude, understanding God's grace is blowing from behind, moving the legs. As soon as I think I move my legs, it's finished. My legs get tired. But as soon as you say, oh Lord, you are moving this is an instrument, it's just in the words of Kathopanishad, this is 11-gated city, you know. Ekadasha Dharam, 11-gated city. Some machine is there, mounted on another machine, and off you go together. Like that. Shifting our attitudes like this gives us this grace. And this is what happened on Kalpataru Day. All of a sudden, everybody's attention was shifted toward the obvious thing that they missed previously. That it was the Lord of the universe standing there, offering His grace. Doesn't matter if you were a saint or a sinner, if you were good, if you were bad, if you were a reformed character like Girish Chandra Ghosh. It didn't matter, because the grace is generous enough and it's derived from compassion. So, in relating this story, in the Leela Prasanga, Swami Sharananda, whose Titi Puja is also today, poses this question: was it really Kalpataru? Or was it a self-revelation, the Lord revealing Himself? And there was grace flowing in a positive way, in a compassionate way, in a forgetful way, forgetting all the physicality of whatever was there. Is it that? He poses the question and comes to the conclusion, yes, it must be that. Because if you ask for something from the Kalpataru, you'll get it, whether it's good, whether it's bad. But this was all good, all generosity. And Sri Ramakrishna is saying, what else can I say? May you all be blessed with self-realization and God-realization. That was his last words. Nothing else to say. The only thing is to express. We often speak for hours and hours, all kinds of nonsense. But really, the truth cannot be verbalized. It can only be felt. And then, like a vessel being filled, overflow. I often tell devotees, you see, in Ireland, you see, where people are interested in positive thinking and business studies. And people are told, you see, it's like a glass, half full, half empty. If you think positively, it's half full. But if you think negatively, if you're a pessimist, it's half empty. But teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and Vedanta says, no, real positivity says it's always full and always overflowing. But we have to catch it. We have to tune our attention into it. We have to be aware of it. And all scripture is designed with this in mind, that given time, we have the opportunity at least of diverting our attention away from so-called normal activities, difficulties, concerns, doubts and fears and temptations, and at least for a few moments, directing it toward the Lord in a loving, non-demanding way. And so, with this great revelation, with this wonderful magnetic field being spread on this Kalpataru Day, we have to say, yes, it was Kalpataru, using the analogy of a tree. We find this in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we find this Kathopanishad, we find this in Mundaku Upanishad. The analogy of a tree is used always. And even in modern science, in modern evolution, the idea of in origin of species comes back to a tree. Everything is branches. And in terms of the Ramakrishna mission movement, we are the latest branch of the great global tree in Ireland. Only 1 year old, more than 1 year, June last year. And so, what is this great wish-fulfilling tree in reality? It is the spread of grace, and this is done in this modern age, from Ramakrishna to Ramakrishna's movement, through Holy Mother Sharada Devi, through Swami Vivekananda, through all the apostles, through their successes, and through every single branch and every devotee of the Ramakrishna movement, worldwide. Some devotees, Indian devotees, after we got our status as affiliated branch center, they came to India, and some people, well-meaning no doubt, said, "We have so many aspirant branches here in India. Why do you want to get something in Ireland?" Not realizing that this message is for the entire world, for this age. It wasn't for a select group of people. And yet, throughout the world, you'll find many branches will have Bengali devotees or a select group of people. And of course, that's not why Sri Ramakrishna came. He came for the entire world, and this was made really clear by the shining star, his vocal expression. Sri Ramakrishna, you can see the relationship, hardly able to speak. Vivekananda speaking so prolifically, with so many radical and modern ideas. It would take several lifetimes to really appreciate the message, which was the Master's message, expressed in this way, vocalized in this way for the entire world. And so, in answer to Swami Sharadananda's question, was this really Kalpataru, or was it a self-revelation, and was it God's grace flowing from this? The answer is both. The answer is that when we tune our attention into the divine grace, when we tune our attention into the Lord of the universe, constantly remembering, bringing the mind back constantly as an artistic kind of game of thought, then what will be the result? We will get everything we desire coming to us. All prosperity, all abundance will come to us. And the supreme blessing of self-realization or God-realization will come to us. And so, we can reflect on the events of today and meditate on the events of today, because there's great depth in all of this. We find that the effects on people were immediate, but not always lasting. And we find that the great desire that devotees have for revelation and a reformed life requires a continuous effort after it. And we find this revelation not to sannyasis. This revelation on this day was to the normal, everyday person, the bulk of humanity, the householders, you yourselves. Because all those who aspired for a sannyasi life, they had the grace already on a different basis. And what were they doing during this Kalpataru day? They were serving, as is their duty. They were performing their duty and serving, using the opportunity to air the Master's bedding, and seeing from a distance the drama that was occurring below, and being called and resisting the call, because their dedication to duty and their dedication to service was over and above the desire for this flowing grace. The revelation was what? The revelation was of an avatar for this age. Yada yada hi dharmasya, says the Bhagavad Gita. It starts off like that and tells us that from age to age, in Swami Vivekananda's language, this great wave comes and lasts for several thousand years. And we are only at the beginning of a revolution. If you read the news and all the newspapers and so on, whether it's in English, Hindi, or whatever other language throughout the world, after a few readings, after a few listenings, then you're ready to go and hang yourself, probably, go for some suicide. The news is so depressing. But it's only because we view it in this way. Let us view it in a different way. That this is the beginning of a new age. Swami Vivekananda was convinced and wrote, says, the advent of Sri Ramakrishna was the beginning of a new age, a Satya Yuga. We can't see it at this point in time, but we should be confident that this is a revolution. It's a revolution not only in terms of India, but more in terms of the whole world. It was only because, and I come from a land where Sister Nivedita was born, it was only because of Sister Nivedita's efforts, among other things, that we get a political freedom in India that enabled this message of Vedanta to spread throughout the entire world. It gave freedom to the expression of Vedanta, the fundamental underlying truth that we find in all religions. And where do we find all the fighting? It's over religions, it's over cultural differences, it's over trivial things. You know, there's a game called Trivial Pursuit. Most people are engaged in it. Instead of going for that, why don't we seriously try to find our own fundamental nature? And this is what Vedanta is. And so in Ireland, we are members of an interfaith forum, very vigorous members. And they come to us like a child comes to a mother, because they know that we view all religions as the same. Not because it's our teaching, but because it's Ramakrishna's experience. And it's that experience that we take as validation for this fact. With that confidence, we're able to assert, no, you may have a resistance to it, but actually all religions are true. Why should we argue about the expression of it? Why don't we go deeper? Why should we be armchair philosophers? Why don't we now practice something? And even without practicing, even with a minimal thing, even with minimal effort, the reason why you are sitting here today, the reason why you are born as a human, the reason why you are born in a certain historical era and geographical place is because the divine within you is pushing you, moving you forward. This we call evolution. And moving you because of the Lord's divine grace. And so, by dwelling on these things, by meditating on this event, and by maybe absorbing some of the reflections I've given you, let us echo what Sri Ramakrishna himself was saying, and let us echo with him his words. May you all be blessed with spiritual awakening. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.